want you to see this. Allow me to be your eyes.
Freaks of the Vine, a controversial podcast answering tough questions regarding issues of the day from a practical biblical world view.
He rode into town one day on his silver stallion, and he rode in at dusk. And as he rode up to the saloon in the middle of town, he dismounted and walked up. And once he walked through the saloon doors, you could have heard a pin drop when everybody in the saloon stopped to stare at the lone rider. And he looked around, he said, "I've been everywhere from Cheyenne to San Antone, and I ain't found a good podcast but one. Get your phones out, but be steady. Don't you go crick drawing on me." And they all got their phones out, and he said, "Download Freaks of the Vine on Rumble or on YouTube right now." Well, one fella in the corner didn't get his phone out. He just eyeballed the Lone Ranger. And the Lone Ranger looked at him and said, "You either download or you die. What's the matter? Are you yellow?" I just wanted a chance to say yellow.
That entire setup was for yellow.
Are you yellow? What's up?
I ain't yellow.
I ain't yellow. A yellow belly. You know what a yellow belly is, Gage?
A fish?
No, yellow belly is actually a
Yes.
connotation for somebody who is weak.
Oh, yeah.
Are you yellow?
Oh, fair enough.
Man, we have not done this for a long time, and I think I've gone slightly insane. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Freaks of the Vine. It's great to have you with us. I am Patrick, and along with my esteemed, amazing co-host, Mr. Zach.
What's up?
Miss Kay.
Hello.
And the man behind the board, Mr. Gage.
Hello?
You got married
I did.
since the last time we did a podcast.
The ball and chain.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
man.
thank you.
That leaves only one person at this table single.
It's going to stay that way.
He said that with a big grin
Remember,
on his face.
remember the dinner conversation in Goodfellas between Ray Liotta and Joe Pesci? You're a pretty funny guy. What's that supposed to mean? Right? That
Yeah.
whole thing. Well, there's a meme picture of that caption when Pesci's like taking a drink, doing that smart aleck laugh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's me when my family asks when I'm getting married. Yeah, just look at Pesci's face, and that tells you everything you need to know right there. Hey, Pesci, here's a nickel. Say something funny. You can Slavia. That's from like family.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Back when. But yeah. Anyway, congratulations to you all. Hitched.
Yeah.
Bald and chained people. God bless you.
Bless you, Mr. Gage. How long have you been married now, Kay?
34, 35 years,
Wow.
something like that.
Were you guys like 8 when you got married?
We dated 5 years before we got married too.
Did you really? You guys were young. Nicely done. Nicely done. Today would have been my 32nd wedding anniversary with my first wife, who passed away 10 years ago. But
You
very
and Mom
special
would have
day.
had a 32nd anniversary today.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, we made it 22, and that was pretty cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, I posted a picture today of our wedding day with a little young Zach sitting on my lap, and little ornery turd that he was. I think right at then you were.
You can look at his face, and he's done with me. He's holding me like, get this kid out of here.
I looked at that picture and I thought it does kind of look like I'm annoyed, but I was not. I just, but it was the timing of that.
It was
picture.
time that picture where like you went to go pick me up, like, come here. You know, like that face.
You're
type of thing.
done.
But it looks like you're pissed.
He was like 10 months old,
Yeah.
everybody. So, I mean, you know.
With my surfer blonde hair, what happened?
He's a bleach blonde little baby boy is what he
No
was.
blonde anymore. But yeah,
That's right. Well, we apologize to all of our fandom for not being on for a while. A lot of things were going on and occurring in our lives, but we are back in the saddle, and I don't foresee anything crazy keeping us from doing this a little more consistently. So we are working and striving to probably do something about our situation where we are going to get some cameras on our faces. I think podcasts that do that are a little bit more viewed. Not because I think what we'll probably all do is borrow Kiss masks, and we'll just I'm going to claim Gene Simmons
No, you're
demon
not.
mask. Yeah,
no.
we got to give that
best one.
to Kay, because
Yeah,
that would be, you know. Well, I guess Kay would get first dibs.
Yeah, guys. Whenever like Twitch blew up, you know, and,
Yeah.
gaming streamers.
Yeah.
It's a proven fact that the ones
Oh,
that
yeah.
set a camera in front of their face got more views than the ones that didn't. Even if they provided commentary.
Bless you.
Yeah, and I think that's where we probably, you know, having the cameras installed in this room.
You do the cameras when you do your one-on-one interviews.
Yeah. Yeah, they sure do. Which we just had one that got posted up with Vasily from Saving Grace.
Yes.
They are recording a new album. Super, super nice guy from out of New Zealand, and they have a lot of fans in America. And they've been here several times and toured before, and so they're putting their new album together, and I'm excited to hear their new singer. But
Definitely.
yeah, he is pretty stoked about that.
Have they come anywhere close to here in tour?
He's been in They've been through Kansas.
has been through
yeah,
Kansas.
but I think they just drove through. I don't know if they stopped in Kansas City, but he said they'd been in more times in California than he had in Kansas.
Gotcha. Well, the biggest like cities to play in the state are going to be Wichita, Lawrence over in Topeka, because that's just, you know, where the venues are, and Kansas City, obviously.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
unless they stopped in any of those towns,
yeah,
Lawrence gets really crazy names showing up there, man.
Oh, they do. Two of their bigger places known as the Granada. We call it the Granasty. And then the Bottleneck. And back in the day, the Bottleneck was one of the most popular places for bands to play. They took everybody and anybody. So metal and punk bands would go to the Bottleneck.
Yeah, you go to the Granasty now, and they've got band stickers slapped on the walls everywhere. Like bathrooms are just covered. And the bands that have been through that place,
It's crazy.
it goes from gangster rap to black metal,
No, really? Wow.
yeah, but
punk
like
rock.
you could find
Like, it's
anything.
Anything.
you
everything.
could find 400 or 500 bands that are actually you've heard of have gone through that place. It's nuts. Yeah, Topeka used to
Anyway, I
be a
was
scene for
curious
that
if
once.
you ever,
Yeah, they went through, but I don't know where they played.
Cool. But yeah, it's so awesome, you know, finding them years ago,
Yeah,
and then here we are today.
yeah. You turn. Yeah, well, I think you had played them for me, and I was like, yeah, it's cool. But I wasn't quite there yet. And then I found him one day, and I was like, Zach, have you heard of Amazing Grace? Have you heard Saving Grace? And he said, yeah, I told you about those, Dad. Oh, they're awesome.
Well, to your credit, most dads don't grow to an affectionate taste of that type of music.
Agreed.
So I was like, yeah, that's a dart that's not going to stick to the board. No problem. We move on. And years, have you checked these guys? I'm like, dude, a decade ago, you couldn't have been less interested.
Yeah,
It's so
that's
cool.
a true story.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for walking with us on our journey here today, Freaks of the Vine.
Yeah, no doubt. For those that stick around and wait and listen, thank you so much.
We appreciate
Hopefully
you.
Entertain consistently, a little bit better consistently from
Yeah.
here on out.
That's right. I'm going to play for you guys a series of 5 small video clips. And we're going to pause after each one and talk about it. But I really, these are very all over the board. There's no rhyme or reason. None of you 3 have heard these. None of you know what I'm going to play, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it for all of you, and then we're going to talk about it.
Do it.
Do it. All right. The first one I want to play for you is very comical.
Welcome to Gaza graduation. Let's see how much students actually know what they stand for. If you get them right, you win $100. First question, have you guys chanted from the river to the sea?
Yes.
Okay, which river, which sea?
The sea of.
So you don't know the
No.
The answer was the Mediterranean and the Jordan. What does Hamas say their number one goal is according to their charter?
They just wanted to free Palestine.
To murder all Jews around the world. How many years did Israel occupy Gaza?
Late 1800s, the entire time.
It's 48. It was actually under Egyptian control for the first 20 or so years, and then Israel actually left Gaza in 2006.
I'm shocked.
Wait, they left?
What is the definition of Zionism?
Doesn't that mean you hate Palestinians, right?
Jewish people who think that Judaism is the highest race.
Zionism actually just means that you think Jews are entitled to having their own homeland to protect themselves from another Holocaust. You don't even have to be Jewish. That makes you a Zionist.
Okay.
What does Intifada revolution mean?
I don't know what that means.
But you've chanted it?
Yeah.
It's like a global call to murder Jews.
Wow. Wow.
Did you know you said that?
No.
Would you say it again?
Probably not.
How much have our foreign adversaries donated to American universities in the last decade?
No idea.
I couldn't give you a number on that.
The answer was over 6 billion. How many Gazan refugees have the Arab neighboring countries let in the last few months?
35,000.
The answer was 0. Look, you asked an education major about students don't seem to know what they stand for. So wouldn't it be great if these expensive colleges actually taught them something?
That right there is a nutshell of the idiocracy and stupidity that we're living in right now. We literally just align ourselves because we think that we have presuppositions that we think that align with everything that we think. And it's just, it's a mess.
Yeah, I mean,
What a joke.
the amount of
Ignorance.
yeah, but plus, I mean, I kind of watched it, but I'm gonna judge them, but like the gay people that are waving these flags for Palestine, you know, in the major religion that they're gonna support, you know,
Do you know what they would do to you
Right.
if you openly
You
broadcasted your lifestyle in front of them?
Kill you.
Your head would be removed.
right?
Yep.
And so you know, waving that flag that proud on some of these people, I'm like,
When you see those bootlegged, grainy videos of those terrorists mocking the United States, it's like, I don't think you guys even realize how stupid some of the people are here.
right?
They're supporting you when you would just do indescribable and disgusting things to their bodies.
Right.
Yeah.
And yet we're going to align ourselves with you? Why?
This is a spokesperson for underneath in Biden's cabinet, the tranny. Rachel was a dude, now is a woman.
Okay, yeah.
I know you're talking about.
Yep.
And even the title just popped out of my head. Our friends listening right now are going to be like, what? So, did the Secretary of Health for the United States in Biden's cabinet, Rachel Levine. And there is a video that was made by him. I'm not calling it a her because it's just ridiculous
It's a
anyway.
dude.
It's a dude. And made this video, and it was sent over to some other countries, including Middle Eastern countries. Do you know how much fun they are making of us because of that video?
Oh, 100%.
They're not seeing, they're not accepting in any way, shape, or form the same things that this country is doing.
Correct.
And if you speak out about it, you are so maligned in hatred.
Yes.
Dude,
It's not even a malign and hatred anymore. It's you're exiled.
Yeah, precisely.
If you are a part of a softball team, you are no longer asked back to play. If you are a part of a PTO organization and you stand firm for your kid or defending what you believe and what your kid should or should not be taught, you are exiled.
Yeah.
This is getting to the point of just maligning and mistreating people.
Yeah. Which reminds me, as you are listening to this on this channel on YouTube, we ask you that you also go over and
please go to Rumble.
Yeah, subscribe to Rumble if you haven't done it, and it's free. It's a lot more free speech, and they actually push our videos.
Which is nice.
From our church, our website. We have actually a video that has like thousands of views in one sermon. They push our stuff, and on YouTube, we're actually thrown in the weeds.
Oh yeah, in the algorithm, based on subject matter, content, titles, thumbnails, whatever else, we are going to be we're going to be put underneath the sewage.
Yeah, and I just can't see
I'm saying that because some of the stuff that I've seen on YouTube.
Oh, right.
I'm like, why is the algorithm pushing this towards me?
Right.
Yeah.
What the?
I think
And then a biblically sound, teaching of the Word of God. We're trying, because not a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Right.
So here we are trying to get it right.
Yeah, and if you're listening to us for the first time, what we do is on our typical panel podcast here, the four of us talk about different topics that are going on in the culture, and we talk about them from a practical Christian perspective. We're not a church podcast, and we've never claimed to be. We are all believers, and we all love our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But we're going to talk about things from a practical standpoint, and it may piss and irritate people off all the time, which I'm sure we do.
Oh, absolutely. It's a terrible analogy, but it's like, the Pat McAfee showed me on ESPN. You're right. They make sure that that whatever is said on that program has nothing to do with the affiliation of ESPN.
Yeah, their views do not go with their.
But honestly, it is. But the same can be said here. The views held in this podcast room do not 100% reflect everything to Highland Heights Christian Church. We just are part of the body here.
Absolutely, and same with other Christians.
But you're going to find a lot of people, who are trying to walk the godly life. This is the lens that we're trying to see things through.
Yeah.
If you can't talk to people in a practical sense,
Right.
you have to elevate yourself into a religious sense. Because nobody's going to be interested in. It's not going to make it easier either for their conversion, into a walk with Christ, and not have been able to have these conversations.
Yeah,
anyway,
we're just so pampered, so spoiled, have absolutely everything we could ever need and then some in this country, that we are inventing problems and inventing conflicts for ourselves to keep ourselves busy and entertained.
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like we have because every generation has had a war to fight. We haven't.
Yeah,
we're due in quotations, because just look through the history of the United States.
Yeah,
we are in a peacetime right now. I know the war in Iraq, and it's not a conflict. Tell that to the men and women who've been over there and been shot at. It's a war. That's been going on and was, obviously cut off when we extracted everybody out of Afghanistan. But this peacetime of, not a mass, assimilation of forces, this hasn't happened.
Right.
So we don't have anything to worry about. So we are in turn creating these problems.
Yeah. And I was going to ask, Kay, I'm not trying to tackle your age here, but do you vaguely, Vietnam was probably talked a little bit more about in school when you were a kid, because we weren't that far removed from it. I was born in 1972. You don't have to give us your birth year. It was just...
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. But you know what I'm saying? But that was talked about quite a bit. And I don't know that it's ever mentioned anymore, to the point where, if at the same token, I was, 83, 84, and I came home and that's when I had to think about it. I'm like, what made my dad so pissed off when I talked to him about Korea and I brought up the word conflict? Because I was in 7th grade and I came home and I said, Dad, you were in the Korean conflict. And I remember that. And he goes, conflict my ass.
Yeah.
He's like, when you're over there shooting at people and people are dying, it's war. It is not a conflict. It is a war. He went on a rant. And I couldn't remember, why my father got so mad. He wasn't mad at me.
Right.
He was mad at the fact that this happened in the early 50s, right? So we're 30 years removed at this point when I'm telling him this. That's, think about how long ago. It's 30 years ago from now, or before this day. 94.
Right.
That was at the end of Desert Storm.
Right. Oh, I just, Gage, you'll appreciate this, but this is just where my brain goes. But I saw this thing where the gap between Grand Theft Auto Vice City coming out and Grand Theft Auto 6, that year gap, is the same gap between World War I and World War II.
Man, that's crazy.
In a number of years.
Are you serious?
Yes. It's like 25 or something. It's time is a trip, man. When you segment it like that.
Yeah.
On that whole Korean conflict and war thing, Jesse Ventura, the guy who was in Predator, he was also
He was a wrestler. He was a famous WWF wrestler.
Okay. I remember him most.
And he was a really liberal Minnesota governor for a minute.
That's right.
I'm
I'm only bringing him up because he was testifying in front of Congress about being in Nam and the fact that our country is okay with sending kids to go fight and die. When they come back here, they're not even considered adults. That 18 to 21 year old block, that 3-year gap, the 18 to 21 year olds can go over there, right? And so like you're okay with sending, but he twisted me right. I can see where he's coming from, but he's absolutely onto something.
I had a guy
in this country, you can go die for it.
Oh yeah,
without being able legally to have a beer.
My friend Rocky Nichols,
a cigarette or a dip.
Guy I went to high school with, he wrote this article on our school newspaper, and it was, you're old enough to carry a gun, but you're not old enough to buy a beer.
Yeah, that's it.
And that was something that we all could understand.
Right. So yeah, when you call them conflicts, look, in the legislative, Congress chambers, golden rooms of bronze and whatever else, you can label it a conflict all day long because it doesn't meet the criteria needs. BS. You're sending man against man to murder one another.
Yeah.
It's you or me.
Yeah. But I brought that war thing up because we were taught all about it. Mm-hmm. Right. More so probably Vietnam, World War II, World War I. I mean, we had...
Pearl
Harbor was huge.
Oh, yeah.
That was such a stain on America.
You guys being in school when you were, man, Vietnam was fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure was.
And the fact that, you go over there as a 19, 21-year-old kid, witness what you did, and then come back home, and then
no, you're not normal.
You're being spit on, cussed at. You just got off the plane.
Yeah, World War II.
I remember reading stories.
Home, it was different.
They got welcomed. Parties. I mean, women are lifting up skirts, basically. They welcomed these people like total prodigal son.
Yeah, thanks for saving America type of thing.
Nam veterans come back, and that happens. And then these guys are having to go to the bathroom in the airport, get back into civilian clothes just so they can leave without getting harassed.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
That is just.
All right. Then we take a conflict,
they
like the Gaza stuff that's going on, and not one person, even though they're supporting the other view, they have no idea.
Yeah.
Truly, what's even going on over there?
Yeah. That's why I say, we know what we stand for when it comes to the American flag.
Yeah.
But here they are, they're out there, and they don't really know.
Yeah, but they're like, we stand by it. We stand by this flag, but we don't know.
We don't have any idea.
We have no idea.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so I'm going to go to the second video here, and I'm going to play this for you now. So this is Bill Maher was on The View. Both of those topics.
Gosh.
Both of those. Bill Maher over the last couple of years, I'm still not. I can tolerate him a little bit more because he's beginning to see things a little bit more rationally. There's a lot of problems with, but he is at least not quite as crazy far into the weeds as he once was. He's beginning to see the baloney of things. And he was on the awesome show The View, which I cannot stand. But I want to play for you what he commented about on here, and I would like you guys to listen to this.
Well, I mean, it's just astounding to me that they can't tell the good guys from the bad guys. I mean, just morally. I mean, let me tell you, if you're for Hamas, just live in Gaza for a day. And I'm not talking about while the war is on. I mean, before the war. Trust me, you would go running and screaming and begging to live in Tel Aviv, a place that has your values. I mean, women have this is a show watched by a lot of women. Women have no rights in this place, and a lot of majority Muslim countries around the world. I mean, there is no equal rights as far as speech, dress, opportunities for education, reproductive rights, freedom from sexual violence, freedom from sexual harassment.
The LGBTQ community.
Yes. You that too. But you throw around the term apartheid. There is a gender apartheid in a lot of the world, where women are second-class citizens, at best.
Are you at all concerned about the innocent civilians that have been collectively punished and murdered, largely children and women? And are you at all concerned about the fact that the International Criminal Court just today issued a subpoena for Bibi Netanyahu?
Well, that's ridiculous, but it's a war.
Why?
It's a war because it's a war, and they were attacked, and they're defending themselves. Now, this is a war. Do you think Hamas needs to be destroyed? This is the question.
Yes.
You do.
Yes.
So how can we get out with a ceasefire?
All right, so Hamas needs to be destroyed because they are a terrorist organization who say openly that they want to commit genocide on the Jewish people, on the state of Israel. That's what from the river to the sea means, okay? And they say it very openly. They say, we did this attack. They've attacked Israel 5 times. They've started 5 wars since they were given that land back. They could have chosen to turn that place into any place they wanted to, and they took a lot of money that they took from the international community, and they spent it on bombs and guns and building tunnels. So if they need to be destroyed, how do we do that? It's a war. I don't know how to do that, and you don't know how to do that. I assume the Israeli do. Of course, everybody is, but that's what happens in a war. Here's a way to stop that. Stop attacking Israel.
And stop calling for the annihilation of Israel.
Wow. Imagine that.
Stop attacking
this is
Israel.
Exactly it. They have been attacked and under a constant barrage, and then they finally go, enough. Off with Israel's heads. They're
like,
murdering people.
Wow. They retaliated once after. I mean, I remember looking at the list, and it was like, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think, hundreds of years of just attacks on Israel. And they're like, all right, knock it off. Please stop. You guys, are you seeing this? Like, what the heck? Why aren't you saying anything? Isn't this messed up? And then the one time they fight back, and I always think about, like, the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
Because these people have no idea what's going on, and they listen to people who have no idea what's going on. And then now we're here, and then you have to have Bill Maher come and tell you what's going on. Which is
you have to have one of the most extreme liberals slap some other liberals across the face verbally and
you
go,
guys, do you realize how far you are? Bill Maher's like,
when Bill Maher's considered a medium of the road guy now, where are we?
Right.
I mean, hey, someone had to say it. Good for him for having the stones to do it.
But
and he did good.
And he didn't get a lot of pushback, but he did get a little bit. Like the one lady's like, Sunny Hostin or whatever her name is. She's trying to make an appeal for, casualties of war. We know there's casualties of war. There's always been casualties of war. When you're fighting somebody else, women, elderly, and children that are not involved, anybody non-soldier related are going to die.
Civilians are casualties of war.
Correct.
That's why when it happens, go.
They were warned.
But here's the deal.
Israel announced they were going to attack Gaza a month before they did it.
Roots die hard. No. Been here, right? We are sons and daughters of our father Abraham. We are here. We are not going anywhere.
We'll die here. Yeah.
That's it. So you can, but
they're not going to listen.
They're not going to listen to you.
But the rest of the world then cries as if they didn't have a choice. They were given a month.
Right. You have, you can either run to the hills or stay there and just pray to the Jewish Old Testament God that the mortar strike doesn't hit your building.
Well, Israelites, Jewish people left Gaza Strip in it was 2007, I believe. They left the Strip.
Yeah. And
so they went back home. And the reason why they did that was because there was an agreement. If the Jewish people left Gaza, then they would it was a matter of a peace treaty. Well, then what happens is you get Hamas breaking in on a Sunday morning or wee hours of the morning and attacking and doing horrible things and taking a bunch of prisoners. And I've heard some of the like CNN reporters say they say they didn't take prisoners. Are you kidding me?
Are you seriously going to trust their word?
Yeah.
These are the same type of people. Now, granted, they're not Al-Qaeda, but These are the same people who have the same morals as those people.
Right.
That are sending, videos of colonels and army sergeants beheading them and taunting us and going, what are you going to do about it? Mm-hmm. Oh, no, they didn't take any. Are you that freaking stupid?
Oh, they are. They are.
And if the answer is yes, then, nope, Christian podcast. Pray through it. Well, yeah, it's just the absolute stupidity is at an all-time high, man.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to move to our third video here, and you guys have heard about this a lot. But there are a lot of people who have yet to really hear the roughly minute and a half of the portion of the speech that caused so much of a ruckus. We go to this now.
Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 2024, you are sitting at the edge of the rest of your lives. Each of you has the potential to leave a legacy that transcends yourselves and this era of human existence. In the small ways, by living out your vocation, you will ensure that God's church continues and the world is enlightened by your example. For the ladies present today, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. You should be proud of all that you have achieved to this point in your young lives. I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross this stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I'm on this stage today and able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation. I'm beyond blessed with the many talents God has given me, but it cannot be overstated that all of my success is made possible because a girl I met in band class back in middle school would convert to the faith, become my wife, and embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker.
I wanted to have all the applause because I think the 15 seconds of applause said everything you needed to know. First of all, he's at a Catholic college, whether or not, it doesn't matter, think about Catholicism. He's committed. That's all he said about women.
It was so heartfelt, like he, breaking down crying. That's all he said. And it was so heartfelt, right, to get choked up in the middle of your speech. And you could tell leading up to it, like he's, his breathing was starting to kind of get a little, but it just, that was his just absolute homage to his wife. And so she is the homemaker, and that should be a wonderfully accepted thing.
I think what happened is that they were taking that blurb, not praying the preface to that, taking the extracted part.
Because you can take that out of context and go, man, this guy is just an absolute old school womanizer.
Well, that's what I thought had happened.
Yeah.
And when I listened to the whole speech, I had to listen to that part second time. And not in trying to convince you or anybody, I was just realizing, I'm like, I got it. He was saying, go and do your life. But I bet the vocation you're going to love the most is your being a wife and a mother. What woman of faith wouldn't want to state that?
Yeah, he didn't say abandon your hopes and dreams of success and go in the kitchen barefoot and pregnant with a cigarette.
But that's what everybody told us.
You know what I mean? Like that. No, he's saying, you're of course, but you're going to be proud of being a mom and a homemaker.
Yeah.
Yep.
But now if you hear it in the context of that, does that kind of resonate a little bit more?
Absolutely.
But if you heard it in the way that we all thought of it first.
Because at first I was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Like going out there saying, girls put, you just graduated college, but to the kitchen you go.
Exactly.
No, but yeah, I think Harrison as a man is so humble and is so kind. Like, perfect example. Chiefs linebacker B.J. Thompson, a week ago, I don't know if you heard of this or not, collapsed in a meeting room, seizure and cardiac event. It's happening all over with athletes. The first man and the last one to leave his side was Harrison Butker. Mr. CP, his heart is for his fellow man. And knowing that, like, when that first came out, I was like, okay, either Harrison's on one or this is out of context, because that doesn't reflect the human.
Well, it's no different. It's no different than if one of us, we found out that one of us said something very inappropriate to somebody else in the church. The other three of us would react by going, "What? I don't think that you'd know them." At least in that because there's a comfort and you know what I'm saying. There's a comfort you have.
I'm not saying I know the dude at all.
No,
it's just but every time.
But when his teammates rose to his defense,
everybody gives glory to God when there's a trophy in their hand.
Absolutely,
Harrison was doing it way before when all-time lows.
But even the people that didn't agree with some of the rest of his speech, especially when he talked about homosexuality and the Pride Month and all that, whatever. They were like, yeah, I don't agree with everything he said, but I love the man. Because that just is a testament to them loving the guy who they know.
Yeah.
A man of integrity.
Yeah. But in just the eggshell kindergarten world we live in, all you need is to take a clip like that out of context, stir the hive, right? And then just let the workers come and attack.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Were you, now that you kind of listen to the context of it, does that resonate more because you heard it? Does that impact you more than it did with what you thought he said?
And for me, I have to listen to things several times or read things several times in order to understand it. And this is the first time I've ever heard this. And just that small piece of it, again.
Initially, you thought.
And not knowing him or anything else.
Sure.
Yeah, initially, yes, that's what I thought.
And that's a perfect example of how everyone received it on social media.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
It just because it came off that way and everyone's like, well, how dare he? Like, whoa.
Well, think about how
exactly.
But that's also because we get snippets. And so I'm as equally at fault for that because I'll listen to a snippet and then absolutely take that.
We're all headline readers.
Yeah. And I'm really one of the worst.
We read that sentence or two and then without even reading, think we got all the information and then go out and then start slinging it to the next person. Oh, I read on the internet. No, you didn't. You read a headline. You read a sentence. You know what I mean? And then just the misinformation bubble or snowball continues to roll.
Yeah.
And it's just, Anyway, it's crazy because at such a niche college, Catholic University, small town Kansas, to have this guy, which, he's already going to be under the microscope because he's a Kansas City Chief. And if you've been living under a rock, a certain player dates a certain pop star who has just exploded this team. So everything that they do is under fire.
Yeah.
And when you have a man who is very open about his faith, going to a Catholic college to deliver a commencement speech, the sharks in the water smell that blood. And they're just looking for anything they can do to bring him. And that, unfortunately, the bullseye was on Harrison. It could happen to anybody, and it can't, and it will.
I clearly am never going to defend the Catholic Church or the or the Catholic faith, but I will say, just from a moral standpoint, there's nothing wrong with what he said, and I think a lot of times, it's sort of like with Trump. I'm not a fan of the guy. Agree with a lot of the stuff that he certainly did for us for 4 years. I certainly don't agree with the guy who took his place and the stuff that he's not doing and the fact that he can't finish a sentence.
Yeah.
And it's just a masquerading joke that it is what it is.
Non-party alignment dog was here, okay? So I'm going to take the bipartisan crap out of this. And being a kid during the 2000 election, between George W. Bush and John Kerry, I didn't give two craps less. I did because everybody else did, but I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I went at that time. The school I was going to, private school. Most of the kids there were waving the flag of John Kerry. So when George Bush gets elected, he becomes the butt of everybody's jokes, right? He's maligned, insulted, mocked. He's the punchline of every late night show. Letterman, Leno, Conan O'Brien, right? Because the guy did no favors when he gave public speaking. He did him no favors when he was delivering public speeches, but total bombardment. I remember being a kid just going, all right, so the American custom is to rib on the president. And then their guy gets in office, and it's hush, rah, 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 pom-poms everywhere.
For 8 years.
Okay, then we go to Orange Guy, and then that was son of Sam, the Antichrist, Satan himself. Okay, and then we get Obama 2.0 and old VP Joe, Sleepy Joe gets up there, and this is the worst president ever in the history of our country. And I can easily say that without knowing more than half of the names who are presidents in this country. This man cannot function as a basic human being. He's awful at his job, but it's ignored. And I was just like, we're living in the Twilight Zone. We went from maligning a dude because he was on the other side of the fence, and now you can't even acknowledge the simple shortcomings of functioning.
All anybody would have had to show me, or all I had to see, was him sniffing that girl's hair.
Yeah.
That one time, I'm like, all right, I will not vote for that guy.
Correct the moon.
But everybody else was like, we all do it. And I don't know what their excuse was.
Defending him,
right,
and then excusing it.
How about this, Gage? You put what Zach said. You take Bush.
It is cuckoo. For freaking Cocoa Puffs, man.
If you took Bush Jr. and a speech he's given next to a Biden speech he's given, there's no comparison.
Sound like FDR up there at the pulpit, man.
It would be a slick Willie. Bush Jr. would just say things once in a while that were a little off. It wasn't that bad.
Not compared to
right.
Yeah.
No comparison.
But at the time, it was
right. It was like it was the last guy, smooth talker,
right?
And then you get Bush, and he's he always said one word that was just so funny.
Well, you're American. Oh, sorry. What was the word he said?
Some country, I think, or something.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Dang it, man. But he'd always say it, and everyone's like, what?
Rat.
Man.
The number one clip that lives in my head rent free is when he's on the golf course. And, we're going to get those terrorists.
Oh, yeah.
Now watch this drive. I use that when I'm just playing golf in the backyard. I'm going to go, I'm going to get those terrorists. Now watch this drive.
He had one of the best lines when he was speaking to those gathered around at 9/11 and amongst the rebel. And he said something, and somebody from the crowd said, "We hear you." And he said, "What's that?" And we hear you. And he goes, "And we hear you. And the people who knock these buildings down are going to hear from us real soon." It was like clear gold when he said it. It was just
it's but funny now everyone says Bush did 9/11.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know. All right. Well, before
it's crazy.
The fifth clip, I'm not. It's kind of. I'm not sure if it really matters to play it. I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to nix it. It's Pope Francis, and I really don't care about what he has to say. Now, this next one I'm going to play for you is a clip of what happened at the United Methodist Church National Conference. Okay.
Insanely woke moments of the United Methodist Conference that just happened a couple of weeks ago. You're going to want to see these video clips, and trust me, this one here, number 3 and 4 are going to blow your mind. That's why I'm saving them for last. Here we go. Woke moment number 1 at the UMC conference.
There is a new something that I'm observing at this annual conference, general conference, and that is clergy delegates introducing themselves and saying their pronouns. And I know what the meaning of this new introduction and the rationale.
All right, so real quick, what he just asked was that he noticed something new at this annual conference.
At the pastors' conference.
That's what I thought you were going to bring up.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I am. It says all you need to know.
At a pastor's.
Yeah, the United Methodist Church.
Yeah.
So, and look, there are definitely some Methodist churches that are not listening to this woke stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You got a solid pastor somewhere in like Arkansas, maybe in Delaware, maybe in North Dakota, and they're teaching the gospel and they're not bending to the woke rules and they're charging forward with the gospel. They're fine. But just because they have the Methodist name, you are tying yourself to something that is very much becoming unhinged.
Right. So at what point as a Methodist do you look at where the church is going with all this stuff and go, oh, maybe I'm not a Methodist church anymore.
Yeah.
Or Southern Baptist. You
Ding,
guys,
ding, 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 ding.
they are going off the rails, both of them. And I do not understand how people sit there and go, well, we're Methodist, but we're not following that. So are you a Methodist church or aren't you? And do you understand what that means?
Being a Methodist more important than being a Christian?
Right.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You want to state you're a Christian. It's sort of like when you're like somebody asked me the other day. They feel very Reformed. They are learning Reformed theology, and he said, "So do you say you're a Calvinist, or do you say I'm like I say I'm a Christian?" Because Reformed theology is biblical theology.
Let's keep deducing ourselves to these generalized terms and specializations.
Right.
Yeah, I never.
That makes no
understood that.
sense.
If you're Reformed, you're Christian.
Right.
That's all there is to
How
it.
about there's just one God, one truth, and we're all trying to get it right?
Right. And these guys,
Yeah.
coming out and going, oh, we're going to list our pronouns before we come out there. How is that saying it's Christ first, but, I want you to understand this is my stance on it.
Did you used to go to where did you guys used to go? Like when you were involved, when you were first going to church, before you came to this one, where did you guys go?
So, when I was little, I grew up in this church. But then I got married.
I didn't know that.
Uh-huh. And then...
So this place was around in Civil War?
Oh, that's
Love you. Love you, Miss K. I'm totally kidding. No, Nancy has like an old picture of the building. Mm-hmm. And I think this building has been here for a long time.
Yeah.
It was a church.
To hear you say that you grew up, that is so
But you
cool.
grew up in this church, not in Highland Park. You grew at
this one.
As Shawnee Heights.
Oh,
Christian.
This building you grew up in.
That is so
Because it was
Then they sold it, funeral home, and then it came back.
Oh, let's talk about the funeral home part. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Let's not.
But then when I got married, converted to Catholic.
Yep.
There were things that happened in the Catholic Church that I did not agree with, that really rubbed me the wrong way, and I made a stand, and I said, "We're going back. I'm going back with or without you." And my husband came with me. So
and now he is obviously he's a strong believer and growing in his faith all the time. So that's awesome
and very instrumental in making sure that we're looked after.
Yep.
Yes.
Greatly appreciate that.
Even though I am old.
Love you.
That was pretty doggone funny. That was pretty funny.
But I have to say though, the Methodist, and again, talk about false teachers.
Yeah.
And this is where all that's going. It's headed in a completely different direction. It's
For a while,
the world.
I mean, we talked about before,
sorry, Dan, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we talked about before, like the prosperity gospel and the things that are really going. They're so obvious; those are the low-hanging fruit. Right. But now, when you start to see these kind of things happening at a denomination that considers itself still very Christian, that alone automatically eliminates them from contention.
Yeah.
Like, it's what the Squid Game, the red light, green light. Like, literally, they are all like offing themselves in record numbers from being the actual true church.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's too bad.
Yeah, but Kay made a very, interesting comment. There was some stuff that didn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
The Spirit of God dwelling within you gave you the discernment to question it. And that's
You're correct.
Absolutely.
process right there. So that being said, if you're a member of this Methodist cult and you do not feel like your God is being challenged and mocked and insulted by the things that they're, then you need to pray for the Spirit of God to enter you, because you are not having the discernment.
Yeah, are you married to your Christianity? Right. Are you married to your faith? Are you married to the actual name on the building, the denomination?
That's the thing, man.
That's something where you have to...
You got to see through people. Right. You've got to see through brick and mortar and concrete. And you've got to seek the loving, true God, the one who is not confined by space nor time. Right. Love him first.
You know,
Amen.
Something I love about our church is non-denominational.
Yeah.
And everybody else, all the denominations go, oh, that is the worst that your church can be. No, it's not. It isn't. But you look at, like, the Catholic Church, the Jews, the, United Methodist, all these people. If you leave that church, everybody you know will disown you.
You're considered anathema.
Right. And so... that's the fear. I think that's the fear of people, where they're like, "Oh, I can't leave." That's a very good
point, Gage.
Yeah,
seriously, yeah.
And Kay, in your mind, you said following God is more important than whatever else I'm going to lose, even if it's my husband. That's huge.
I would venture to say, one thing that you never want to see as a pastor, I never want to see people leaving another church to come to ours. There's no right. They're like, it's like taking that promotion at work. Right. It's a sidestep, so they don't really want you to take it. That's not the point here. There's a lot of them that are coming away from another church, are coming out from underneath a female pastor, out from underneath a doctrinated church that's teaching false doctrine. One, I was sharing it with the class I taught today. There are a couple of pastors that I've heard say this, that if the world would turn more to Christ, there would be no need for his return.
Oh my goodness,
guys! That's not incorrect theology. That's blasphemy.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now, and that's what Jesse Duplantis and Kenneth Copeland have both made that public several times. But there's a few pastors that are on low level who are making that statement. The point is, you find yourself, don't be allegiant and married to the building,
right?
The pastor, anything. You find a pastor and a church body where you are called, and where the pastor and that church teaches the gospel truth. If for any reason that stops, you leave and you find another.
And if they're following that golden rule, which is a two-parter, are they loving the Lord God with all their might, soul, heart, and strength? And are they loving their neighbor the way that they love themselves?
Right. We have people,
our brothers and sisters, that when you walk in, are they treating you good? Are they talking,
yeah.
And like being sincere. That goes insurmountable miles these days to give a crap.
Right.
And
really
to mean it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got some people that belong to this church that they live far away, and they can't find one that they can travel to.
Right. They commute.
Yeah, they're like, this is a 45-minute drive.
On a Sunday morning for church, the one day where most people are like, no, it's Sunday, I'm an off day, I ain't going nowhere.
We have a couple people that are like an hour and a half away, and they can't make it here, so they are online, and they're absolutely every bit of a part of this church family,
Yeah. It does suck, though, because there has to be something to be said about the personal gathering of humans.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that fellowship, you miss out a lot.
You can't match it
online.
Right, you do. But we do have that blessing that no matter where we are, we can always be fed with the message.
Yeah. And that's...
I think...
it's the hybrid world.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I know that the conversations we had tonight and the videos that are played that you were able to watch on... the stream that we did here for the episode of Freaks of the Vine will help you kind of see where we're getting at. And certainly if you have any questions or anything that you ever want to for us to review or take a look at, we will. I look forward to the time we have some cameras in here so you can finally put faces with names. Again, we're just going to go get the KISS quartet of masks, and we'll let Kay pick first. Pick Paul Stanley. Pick Paul Stanley, Kay. Pick Paul Stanley.
Star Child.
I want to be the cat.
That's funny.
Well, thanks for listening to Freaks of the Vine tonight. We really appreciate you guys. And I think the next time we have our next podcast here pretty quick, there's one thing I do want to surface, and that is how bad and woke Star Wars has become.
Yes, I got that. I saw that news.
It's Disney's front runner guinea pig, man.
Yeah.
It sure is. And
George has got to be so proud.
I know,
dude. And they are losing billions of dollars because of their decisions, because they got a couple of
Well, they don't know their fans.
Precisely.
But I say that, but they haven't since they started, even with George, so I don't know.
George just went, as soon as George did Jar Jar for grandkids, that's when. But honestly, rewatch Phantom Menace. It's not as bad as I remember.
I know.
It's kind of okay. Pod racing was cool. But yeah, anyway, Star Wars has fallen off the wagon, man.
There's a topic that I think all of us will surface it as well, and we'll just keep this going. You guys, thanks for listening to Freaks of the Vine. If you have any questions, please email us at
freaksofthevine@gmail.com.
Make sure you download Rumble as well on your phone, or go to it on your web browser on your computer. Find the Rumble, which is the green upside down, looks like a guitar pick on the white background, and you can click to subscribe to us on there as we move away a little bit more all the time from the YT.
Yeah, I was about to say, probably if you're on YouTube, you probably didn't see these videos, but Rumble will let me do it. So if you want to watch them, come to Rumble.
Yeah, come over to Rumble. All right, in the meantime, for Zach, for Kay, for Gage, I'm Patrick, and until the next time, Lord bless you guys, and we are out.